Welcome to the Health and Happiness Show. As you know, I, Janet Hawkins, will be your host this evening. And it's so nice to be back. I've been very, very busy. I just returned from doing the Mount Hope Home and Garden Show down in Mount Hope. And the energy was awesome, so peaceful, so calm, and very open-minded and very receptive of the holistic approach to your health. So just so you know, I'm a doctor and naturopath, and I'm certified through the American Naturopath Medical Certification Board. And I've had 30 years of experience, and I am very comfortable with working with a variety of different health conditions and challenges, so as well as preventive health. And we want quality of health as we are aging as well. So I am dedicated to supporting your health and, providing quality products. We have to be so careful with the purity and the quality. And I am here as a doctor of naturopath to answer any of your questions. May it be a simple question of what do I do for constipation or diarrhea? And then you go to slippery elm. That'll work very nicely. And you have to remember what works for people many times work for our animals as well. So, and many of you know I do a newsletter as well, and we have the newsletter here for March, and you know what we're going to talk about in the newsletter is it's time to cleanse and to nourish our body. We're going into the springtime. Now today's a little on the cool side because we're doing the recording in March for April, but it's time to go in and detox and clean up. We've been through, the dark months, and we've been through the holidays, so it's time to go in and clean up and refresh and bring up your energy level. Maybe you're feeling a little sluggish, a little depressed. It's going to bring up your moods as well. And just a little refresher before we get into the our subject tonight. We have the Tahi Cleanse. This is one of my favorites. I go back and forth. The Tahi Cleanse is a Chinese combination. Has 30 packs. You take one pack and you get results in 10 to 12 hours. What do I mean by results? That means you're going to have a bowel movement. So, just say for example, if you're going to go to the dentist, you want to take it at 6 o'clock at night so you don't have to go to the dentist and say, whoops, here I have to go to the bathroom. So you have to do it accordingly, or what time you're going to work. Maybe you're going to work at 7:30 in the morning, so you'll do it when you get home from work. So this one is great because it goes in and it's going to clean up your liver. It's going to support your kidneys. It has black walnut in case there's any parasites. There's some fiber, some LBS2, which is long, brown, and smooth. So, and actually on the box it recommends to take 2 packets a day, but personally I feel that 1 is very sufficient because if we cleanse you too fast, that could be an issue where you're not feeling well, and we don't want that to happen. So this is one that I use quite commonly, and then what I do many times is I muscle test you to see which one is best for you. So these are the 2 most popular ones, is a Tahi Cleanse, and then we have the Environmental Detox. The Environmental Detox, I have found, really is very profitable for a person that works around a lot of heavy metals or chemicals because it has burdock in it to clean up your blood. It has milk thistle for your liver to clean it because remember, the liver is doing all of the filtering of those toxins that we're exposed to. And come on, we're exposed to our toxins in our food, in our air, in our water. So we're under, exposure 24/7. So we have got to be proactive and go in there and keep the system clean by doing a cleanse every season change. That's a way for you to remember it. So now we're going into spring. So back to the environmental detox. It's going to clean up your blood. This milk thistle is going to clean up your liver. It has echinacea, which is going to help your white blood count, which is going to help your immune system. Has some probiotics in it, some dandelion, some yellow dock. Those are going to help your gallbladder as well. And you take 1 3 times a day. Now, the first thing you have to remember, you do not take any supplement, may it be vitamin D3, may it be environmental detox, maybe CoQ10, vitamin E, whatever. You're not going to take that with a medication an hour apart. That's a rule you always have to remember, because many times you might be on blood pressure meds and that has a diuretic and it's going to pull everything out. So you never take them together an hour apart. So that's something to remember. So I just wanted to give you a reminder, because that's what we talked about last month, was cleaning up our body and tuning in and being responsible and being proactive. So also, I just wanted to share with you, I just got a call yesterday from the Minerva area. A lady had been having the flu that's going around. It's basically a respiratory combination of things, and I'm selling a lot of this. It's called CHEB, and in this we will have colt's foot, astragalus, olive leaf, and eucalyptus, and bilberry. So bilberry is a lot of vitamin C, and astragalus is going in and helping the immune system. And then the olive leaf works for viral bacteria, candida, or parasites, and the colt's foot was going to go in and help you with the cough. So I know what is going around. I actually had it in February as well, and you have a lot of issues in the lung area, a lot of congestion, and a cough that goes with it, and the energy is low. So what you do is, what I did is I took 80 drops at least, probably 4 times a day, and added to a little bit of water in a shot glass. And then if the cough does not go away, which it should, but mine did, but I hit it really hard, I used wild cherry bark as well. My cough was gone within 2 days. So I feel as though, personally, it's just a virus that's going around, because I did the saliva and urine testing on myself, and it showed that I did have a virus. And remember, we do the saliva and urine test by appointment only, and that's where we go in and it can tell us if we have a viral, bacteria, seeing a lot of heavy metals as well today. And it also tells if we're drinking enough water, how toxic we are. And then you go home with this report as well. And it's approximately a 15-20 page printout. And then when you come back for your second report, which is usually within 8 weeks, we will see what progress you have made, and that price is reduced in half. And that will always be like that, because economics is so important today. And of course, I give you a printout on everything that I have suggested for you, and how we determine what you need is I look in your irises, see your weak areas, and then we muscle test to see what is best for you. Because one shoe does not fit everybody, and we have to put a program that works just for you. So, maybe we have to go by genetics as well. Maybe there's diabetes that's running in your family, and maybe you're pre-diabetic. Maybe we have some cardiac issues, so we would definitely consider some hawthorn, which is food for your heart. So, we've got to be proactive, because with the aging process, we want quality of life. We want to know where we are, what we're doing, and be independent as we can be. So health is wealth, and that choice is yours. And don't get me wrong, there are times we need our medical doctor. Actually, we will be having Dr. Sunny on probably in the fall to talk about his IV chelation, especially with the cardiac, and then also the vitamin C chelation, which helps with cancer as well. So, there's always time for our doctor to go once a month or once a year and get your blood work done, and then always get a copy of your lab reports as well, because that's a guide and we can look at that as well. So here we are in spring. The daffodils are up, maybe up about 2 inches. It's still a little bit of cold weather, so hopefully things are going to improve very soon. We're getting a little more sunshine. The time is changing in another week, so all is good. Well, actually, it's going to be this weekend. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I would like to share with you our guest this evening, or today, is Cindy from Petitti's Organic Greenhouse.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being with us again.
Thanks for having me.
She's our go-to for whenever we have any questions, which I do have a question I forgot to ask you before the show started. This is kind of off of our subject on what we're talking about, but back to the chickens. Are you leaving your chickens out open range, with the bird flu going around? What's your opinion? We haven't left ours out yet. We're kind of afraid too.
So my chickens are out, but my chickens don't go out of our property. We have 6 acres, so they stay on our property. And normally we allow people to visit our farm.
Right.
Right now, we're using all kinds of precautions. If someone has chickens, we ask that they do not visit our farm. They can come to the greenhouse, they just don't go out to the barnyard. But other people that don't, they could still carry it on their shoes because they could have been to the park and stepped in goose poop.
Right, right.
And they could. So we have a sanitation station at the end of the greenhouse that leads out to the barnyard.
Right.
And anybody that wants to go to the barnyard, they have to sanitize their shoes and their hands before they go outside.
So what do? Do you have them put little covers over their shoes?
No, actually we have, it's a sanitation station, and they have to sit down. They spray a sanitation system. It's like
it's
hand
like the
sanitizer.
spray that they use.
Right.
Exactly.
But it goes all over their shoes, and then they have to brush it in. So that it's in all of the grooves of their shoe.
Okay.
And then we have alcohol wipes that they will wipe it off, and then they wipe their hands with that as well.
Okay, good.
Before they go out into. But our chickens are out at all times. They've been out all winter long. There was, I think, 3 days in January when we were having the extreme cold that we kept them in. But besides that, they go out every day.
Good. Well, I told my neighbors, because we do this together that I would ask, I told Erica I would check with you on what you suggest, because I know there were some geese up in near Uniontown that had died.
Right.
And we were a little nervous about that. But I like that because we do have the neighbors down the street, they bring their kids up to visit the chickens.
Right.
So I will have them.
I also feed my chickens oregano. Oregano is a great antibacterial, antiviral, and so I mix that in their food.
Okay, so you get it in the powder form?
I get it in the, actually I do oil as well. I do,
right, yeah,
the oil.
Yeah.
But also it's from Frontier Organics.
Okay.
I buy it in like a 2-pound bag.
Okay.
And I just sprinkle it in their food morning. I do 1 time a day. So they're feeding in the morning or they're feeding in the evening. They all get oregano.
Okay.
But I do that for my pigs as well. My pigs eat oregano every day.
Do you do that all the time, or are you just doing it now because of the bird flu?
Well, you know what? I do it when they're little, normally. Only when they're little. I'll give them some oregano to, get that in their system and they're strong. But when there is something going around, I can't remember how many years ago it was, there was a bird flu outbreak.
Right.
And we did it then as well. So, and we haven't had any issues. There have been a couple reports in Stark County, where I'm from.
Yes.
That has had some of the, bird flu. I think there's been 5 cases. But our chickens are fine. Like, if I do have a chicken that's sort of acting weird, though, like doesn't seem itself, I take it, quarantine it, and then I give it oregano gel caps.
Okay.
And
do you hold their mouth?
I put their mouth open and put it down their throat, and shove it all the way down, and then give them a drink of water and a little bowl so that I know that they're getting it down.
Okay.
And I don't have many problems.
Yeah, because we've had no problems other than our little mini getting down there and chasing them.
Right.
But they've all been healthy, but they're going to be a year old. They're a year old now, I think in April, March or April.
Right.
So I will get some of that, the oregano in Frontier. Do you have that in bulk at your source?
I don't. I haven't started carrying it yet for retail sale.
Well, I can probably go online and get it.
Exactly, you can go online and get it.
Or I can get it from my one doc out of Indiana that I work with as well, because I'm sure she has a clinic that she may have it as well. So I will do that and just sprinkle some in, like some salt.
I just sprinkle it just like you would season your pasta sauce with oregano.
Exactly.
You just a little heavier right into their feed.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, because we can even share that with other people that maybe are having chickens and are the same concern.
Exactly.
Because are you finding more and more people are starting to raise their own chickens?
Yeah,
now?
we had a lot of people order with us this year.
Okay.
That the cost of eggs I don't think people realize, though, you don't really save a whole lot of money having chickens.
It's the
But
peacefulness.
Exactly. You know what your chicken ate.
Exactly.
You know where this egg came from. Sometimes it really helps children want to eat the eggs.
Oh, my grandson loves, whenever he comes over, he has to go down and visit the chickens. I'll say, okay, you go down and feed them. Here's some scraps I have, things of that sort.
Right.
But they're so, like when I go outside to work in the yard, they come running up to me, and they're just like a pet.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
can be like a pet.
Yeah, they're very attached to you. So,
Yeah, especially when you only have a few.
right,
You know,
exactly.
my chickens aren't really like pets, but
Right, how many do you have?
about 110.
Oh, no, see, we're on a small scale, maybe 15 and the rooster.
Right.
The rooster's finally coming around, the one that I had gotten from you, the banny rooster.
Yeah.
He was always sleeping in the tree at night. So
Yes.
he's finally now adjusted with winter. He's now
Right,
coming
he
in.
wants to go in. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But thanks for covering
yeah,
that, because
of course.
now we're talking about spring's going to be here, and you want to know what's in your food. So we're going to take it over to Cindy. Okay.
Hey, well, so, this is, here we are, the show's showing in April, and so there's still time to start a lot of seeds yourself. This is a perfect time to start your tomato seeds. And I brought a tray here that we use because people say, well, how do you get them to germinate quickly? And the way you get your seeds to germinate quickly, the smaller your container, the better. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, the smaller the better, and it's going to germinate more quickly. So we have these trays. They come like this, and we sell them for $5.99. And then you can break them, because you don't want to put all the tomatoes that you're planting
Right.
and all of the peppers and all of everything in one, because they germinate at different rates. And different temperatures. So like, let's say that you wanted to start, only a dozen tomato plants, then you could break a piece off. You put your potting soil in here, and like I have some seed starting mix here that we would use, and we would put that in our little tray, put our seeds in here, and then we water it, and then we sprinkle a little bit of that potting soil over top.
So you put the water in first.
Right, the water
And
in
then
first. 'Cause
add-
oftentimes you'll rinse some of your soil off. If you don't water first, you could rinse your seed out as well.
Okay.
So we put this in, pack it down a little bit, water it, then put the seed, and then the little bit of dusting soil. You only want just to cover the seed. You don't need a lot.
Right.
And then when it's like this, and the seed's in here and it's under that soil, remember, no light. It's under the soil, so it doesn't need any light. It just needs heat.
Oh.
Just heat. So bottom heat is going to be the best, because that's going to keep the soil.
The little heating
Tomatoes
pad.
love 80 degrees. I love 80. You can put this on your heating mat. A heating pad from the drugstore works just fine on low.
Right.
You don't need to spend a lot of money on an expensive one. And then you are ready for those tomatoes. Now, lettuce, on the other hand, you can sow lettuce.
Yes, because
So-
I'm getting ready to plant
Getting
mine. I
ready to
haven't done
plant
it yet.
yours.
Yeah.
And so what you can do is take a tray like this. It can have some little holes in the bottom. This one I chose not to, so I could show you how you can put your trays in here and keep them slightly moist. But you would just put your soil in, you just sprinkle your seed starting potting mix in your container, and then you can just
Sprinkle it over that.
sprinkle it over that, just like that. And then again, water everything in prior to the seeds going in, and then you're just going to sprinkle a little bit more of the seed starting mix right over top of your lettuce seeds. Other things that you might want to sow are carrots. It's a tiny, tiny little seed also,
Yes.
so sowing is easier. And then once they germinate, then you can thin them,
Okay.
and then move them around,
Right.
or move them into your garden.
Well-
These are they like the cool, so they're going to be fine to go out early.
So what you can do maybe in a big container like this is put half lettuce and half carrots.
You could.
No problem.
Yep, that would
Right.
be fine. You could do
Yeah,
that.
because what...
They're going to germinate at a very similar rate.
Right. And the thing is, like I haven't planted my lettuce yet because I'm waiting for a nice day to go out there and do that. And that is a nice idea there, but if you don't have one of these and don't have the time to go over and pick one up from you, you can get a round pot.
Exactly. You can do this right in a pot.
Exactly.
Do it right in a pot.
And that's what I have done. And the thing is, they like the cold weather, so you're going to be fine. And you'll probably have lettuce, I would say, by May.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because lettuce will be ready in 6 weeks sometimes.
Right, exactly.
So
and then the thing is, you can plant this at least 2 to 3 times. Because I had lettuce through November.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We grow lettuce year round.
Yeah.
But we do it in a high tunnel or in the greenhouse.
Right.
But we have it year round. So yeah, you can just keep on with lettuce, then you can with your tomatoes, you can do some tomatoes late in the season, and then bring them into a sunroom or a little atrium or something like that, and extend your season for tomatoes as well. We harvested our last tomatoes on February 28th, I think, so that we had tomatoes at our last farmer's market. So you can always do that too.
So do you? Okay, so I have like raised beds. So you would just dig it up and bring it in a pot and put it in the house?
No, these ones are going to be best if they're planted. The seed is planted in like July.
Okay.
And then you would bring it in,
okay,
put it in a
I
pot.
See. Okay.
And then bring it in the house in that pot. No, you don't want to disturb a root system from a tomato that's been growing all year.
Okay.
Besides bringing bugs in, they don't like the root system disturbed
that's a
that
good
much.
idea. So you got to start it from seed in July.
In July, right.
That's something I didn't know that.
So that's sort of fun to do.
Yeah.
So once you have your tomatoes started in this, what we do, of course, we up them into a flat. And because we're selling them in a flat like this. So you have this tray here, and we're going to transplant from here when they have a nice root system into here. But when you're at home, you can transplant from this stage into here or into a little pot, let it get a little bit more root system established, and then it can go into the ground or into your big pot.
Right.
You know, if you want to have a cherry tomato growing on the patio for the summer, or if you plant in the ground, then you'll go ahead and plant.
Well, that's what I do. I plant my own lettuce into the pot, and then I cheat and I go to your place and pick up a cherry tomato plant already up.
Right, already up.
And I put it in with the lettuce.
And we love people that do that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
You know, when the dog and I go out for a walk, we'll walk by and pick up our little snack.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And so they work very well this way. Now, there are some things that you don't need to start in something this little. You can start directly in the flat. And that would be things like your cucumbers. They have a larger seed. Here we go, right here. They have a larger seed, and so in the retail aspect, we get to skip a step on these guys, so they're a little easier for us. We fill the flat with the seed starting mix, and we have a flat filler that it's a little conveyor belt that we put the soil in a big tub, and this conveyor belt brings the soil up and puts it in here, and then it shoots it out the end.
Nice.
And the flat is nice and full with the soil ready to go. And then we'll just, we have a little thing that pushes down, makes a little hole in each one of these, and then we can put the seed directly in there, and then we just sort of mess it up, and a little bit of the soil goes over top, and so you can plant directly in here. So these things come apart too, so you might not want 48 cucumber plants,
right.
So you can do 8 of them, and then you can do your squash in here and all that. Then when they germinate and they don't need to be on the heat anymore, this couple trays, they can go out and go get where it's cooler. Because once you have germination, then you don't need as much heat and you need more light. Right. So that's when it's important to do that transition, get them away from the heat, and they should go into a bright window where they're going to get a little bit of the cool air at night, because that's going to help harden them off. And then even by late April, here you'll be able to take them outside for the day and bring them back in at night, and that will really get things hardened off. Now, if you are starting seed, there are some things that it is too late to start. Right now, it's too late. We're filming in March, and it's already too late. So by April, when this is airing, it's going to be way too late to start your peppers. So you want to start your mild peppers the first week of March or the last week of February. And you want to start your hot peppers. And hot peppers, I mean by Hungarian hot wax, jalapeno, your hot banana, poblanos. Those ones you're going to want to start like mid-February. Your hot peppers, like habaneros, those ones you're going to start early February. And if you're a really crazy person and love the really hot ones, like your Trinidad Scorpions, your Carolina Reapers, your Ghost, those ones, we start the second week of January.
Wow.
So they take a long time to germinate, and they grow slower. So you're going to find that if you want the hotter the pepper, the earlier in the season you're going to start them.
Right.
So, but, you know, a lot of times people do those hot ones in a pot. And so if you started them a little later, you could always bring them in and then do your harvesting a little later in the season. But you can direct sow a lot of things right into the garden. Then you can skip all of these steps. So if you're planting green beans and peas, direct sow is fine.
Exactly.
That's
what
and
I
even
do.
a lot of people will direct sow their cucumbers. They don't get a start. The problem is a lot of people that could direct sow, they have critters.
Yes,
And
they do.
the instant this pops through the ground, it's so tender and so fresh. It's like baby green salad. We love a baby green salad. And the rabbits love baby greens when they're popping through the earth. So if your cucumber plant just pops through and you're doing direct sow, or your green beans or your peas, so many times they just get sheared right off. So that's why a lot of folks will come to the greenhouse and buy them already started. So they have something bigger to put in the ground, because the rabbits doesn't like it quite as much because that leaf is already established.
It's a little bitter.
It's a little bitter.
Yeah.
If you do have rabbit problems or deer problems, there is this product called Repelzol. It is an all-natural, labeled for organic gardening, and you can spray all around the plant, even spraying the plant, and it really will help keep the critters away from it.
Nice.
A lot of people swear by even spraying the seed before they put it in the ground, and it will help keep the moles and the voles and the chipmunks from wanting to dig them up, because they'll taste it on the seed as they're getting to it, and they don't want to dig it up. For deer, I think that you need 3 repellents. Repelzol is a great for one of them, but if you have issue with deer, they're very resilient, and they will oftentimes, like, I really, really don't want this because it tastes bad, but I'm so hungry, I'm going to power through it to get to that leaf.
Yeah.
And if you change it up on them, you'll have better luck keeping them away. So use like your Repelzol. 2 weeks later, use deer out. 2 weeks later, use liquid fence. 2 weeks later, go back to your Repelzol. Your initial cost in buying 3 different products is greater, but they're going to last a lot longer because you're using them only every 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, that's really good to know.
And a lot of times that will help so much, especially when, they're eating your garden off time after time, and it's so discouraging. You work so hard to get your garden going, and then the deer come in and just shear everything off. And a lot of people are even having luck with this with groundhogs, because groundhogs are just, they're so resilient.
They're pretty aggressive.
They're so aggressive,
Right.
yeah. So, a lot of times that will be an issue for you. But once you have your plants started in your house, or in your little greenhouse, whatever you have, you really don't need to fertilize when they're in these plug stages. You don't need to fertilize till you're getting ready to transplant into your container. So if you're transplanting from here to here, still no fertilizer.
Right.
But from here into the pot that you're going to let it
Fertilizer.
grow, right, that's when you want to fertilize. I use Hybrix a lot.
Yes.
I really like this. They are known for, they claim to fame as one and done. You fertilize once when you plant your seedling into your pot or into the earth, and you do not need to fertilize again.
That's awesome.
It is. So it's a fabulous product. I really, really like it. They have an array of different ones. They have ones for sweet corn, ones for your berry bushes. This is your general gardening one. They do have one for tomatoes if your soil has battled with not having enough magnesium and calcium and you get a lot of blossom end rot. They do have one for tomatoes to help those come along for you.
What is the shelf life of this? Like if you buy it and, maybe it lasts you 3 years, is it still okay?
It's still okay. Don't let it get wet.
Okay.
But it's a nice little container that has a great lid.
Right.
So yes, you can definitely. I use a bigger one than this because they have. This was 5 pounds. They have a 20-pound, and then they also have a 45-pound bag.
Now this one is just for vegetables. You can't use it for.
You can use it for your flowers too.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to spend any extra money to fertilize organically the flowers that they're never eating. But a lot of people would be surprised on how many flowers are edible.
There are some.
There are several flowers that are edible. So if you want to put some of those edible flowers, your pansies, for example, an edible flower. You want to put those in a pot with your tomato. You could definitely do that. Put them right in with your tomatoes or with your peppers or whatever. Then you're fertilizing them organically as well as your tomato and your pepper. And then you have everything ready to eat. So you can always do that. Nasturtium the same way. Nasturtium has that flower and the leaf has a very, very peppery taste. It's wonderful to add to a salad. So you can plant that right in there and fertilize it organically
and
at the same time.
And if you're having like a graduation party coming up or wedding reception or a shower or something like that, you can take your flowers and decorate maybe on the salad or the potato salad. I'm just giving you ideas.
Right, exactly.
On the relish tray. Things. And then, of course, plant, you want to put your chives in there.
Oh, definitely.
Love my chives.
Oh, I know. And, if you have your chives in a pot,
they're going to come up every year. They'll come up in the cracks of whatever.
Exactly. But it's in a pot, you can bring them in the house.
Yeah.
And use them all winter long. And fresh chives in the winter on a baked potato.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. So I always bring a piece of my chives in every winter, and so that I have them.
Well, that's a good idea. Now, can you pick it and freeze the chives?
You surely can.
I haven't tried that yet.
Definitely. And I also dehydrate.
Yes, I have a dehydrator. We need to do a show on the dehydration.
Yes.
We've talked about that.
Right.
Yes.
And my next thing is a freeze dryer. I really want a freeze dryer.
Okay.
But I haven't justified that cost yet.
Well, it's one step at a time, right?
Exactly, one step at a time. But I dehydrate a lot. I mean, I really eat a lot of mushrooms. I don't grow mushrooms, but I have a friend that does.
Yeah.
And so I dehydrate lots of mushrooms.
And what else is good is dehydrate zucchini.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you cut it up in slices and put it in that dehydrator. It's like eating a potato chip with
a
little bit of Himalaya salt on it.
Right.
It's excellent.
And then in the wintertime, you can even take it out and rehydrate it. And I make little zucchini pizzas. I do them throughout the season, but then, you get tired of it after a while because you have so much zucchini.
Right, exactly.
But in the wintertime then, I'll rehydrate my slices of zucchini, and I will have zucchini pizzas in the wintertime. So it's a great low-carb thing.
And you have an ideal position here. You can walk this talk because this is what your job is.
This is what my job is, right.
And I appreciate you sharing the information on being responsible for planting your own food.
Right, it is so important.
So you know what you are getting there. You're using organic fertilizer, organic soil. And once you have this set up in your system, you shouldn't have to replace it, right?
Right. I mean, a lot of people will say, well, my soil level went down in my raised beds. Every year you might need to add a little bit because, just to keep your raised beds up. But in your garden, if you're not doing raised beds, I definitely recommend adding a fertilizer, maybe some compost. But once you have a good soil base, you are set. Now, potting soil in a pot, if you do only like container growing. We're not talking raised beds where the earth is your, but if you are doing potting soil, you're putting a bag of potting soil in your pot and you're using that, that's the only type of gardening you do, I would probably replace your soil every 3 years.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Besides that, and then take that soil and put it outside in your flower beds. Don't just
don't just throw it away.
Throw it away and let the trash man come and pick it up.
Right.
But you're adding fertilizer each year to your pots that you're growing in. So definitely you don't want to throw that away. It's perfectly fine. And of course, as a retailer, I would say I'd love you to throw your soil away every year and buy new every year. But that's very silly.
Because
it's so silly.
We need to feed the soil to feed our produce.
Exactly. I always say,
some chlorophyll?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I always say, feed the soil, not the plant.
Right.
And
exactly.
so many people don't realize that that's what it's all about, because you want to have an extremely strong root system, because that root system is what makes the plant stable and strong. And I always refer to it sort of like us. If we're not rooted in what we believe
and grounded,
we will be swayed.
Yes.
If you're rooted and grounded in what you believe, no one's going to sway you. They're not going to persuade you to go. If someone tried to persuade me not to be organic or not to be, it would be like trying to persuade me not to be a Christian.
That's right.
Something
Absolutely.
like that.
Yes.
They're never going to persuade me. I mean, somebody could come and say, this organic thing, and believe me, I have had that. You don't need to grow organically. I had someone I asked about a butter that was fed, the cow was fed a non-GMO diet. I wanted to have, and it was actually a local dairy, and the woman said to me over the phone, honey, you don't realize that really doesn't matter at all. If I could have crawled through the phone line, it probably wouldn't have been pretty.
No.
But I'm like, really? And the sadness is people, they don't know enough to know how important it is. And that's why what you do is so important.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, is create a foundation, educate, and share the knowledge with you. And the thing is, we have Kennedy there now that is trying to change many things, like the dyes in our food and the fluoride in our water.
Right.
And that's just a start. So there's going to be more, but we will take it step by step.
Step by step, exactly.
And the thing is, like I've said before, don't get me wrong, there's times for medication.
Exactly.
But it's just covering up the symptom. We've got to get to the root cause.
There are so many times that, oh, this hurts, let's give you a pill. Let's not find the root cause of what is causing the pain and go there and get this fixed so that you don't have the pain instead of masking it and then having a side effect.
Well, and that's why it's so important in my thought process is we need to do a cleanse every season change, because that can help with pain. It can help with your mood, your disposition, your energy, everything.
Exactly. Right. And, I always say you are what you eat.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
If you are, I don't care if you only eat fast food twice a week. If you're eating fast food twice a week, you're not going to feel good.
Right. But the thing is, I always go with a rule. 80% of the time, try to be very conscious of what you're eating.
Exactly.
And you can be, like if you're going out with someone, well, okay, I don't like eating out because I'm very particular on where I go. Soul pizza or bonefish are my only two I like.
So. And I'm that way too. But I'm not going to be the prude and say, oh, I'm not going out with, a group of family members
Pick and choose.
Right, I'm not going to go out to dinner with all of you celebrating birthdays because you're going to a restaurant that I don't think is going to have clean food. Right. I'm going to pray over it and I'm going to be good and eat it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very, very true.
But, like you said, as long as when you're at home and you're eating organically and you're really watching, of course, you're going to go, once in a while and have something that's not.
We're all human.
Exactly. And you don't want to deprive, yourself, but also people that are raising children.
Oh.
It's so hard. So, when all of their friends are going, to a fast food restaurant all the time. And of course they're going to want some of that. But you try to, like you said, educate them. And, nothing is really better than growing your own.
Absolutely.
And it gets kids involved, and then they want to eat. So many times I've heard, people say, actually just yesterday, a lady was at the greenhouse and she was telling me that she could not get her grandson to try a tomato or like carrots and raw vegetables in the garden or from the store. And so she decided that she was going to
Good idea.
Start getting him involved in her garden.
Yes.
And he wouldn't try anything raw. So she made spaghetti sauce with her San Marzano tomatoes that she had grown. And he loved them. And she's like, see, it's so good because we grew this.
And he was out there taking care of that and seeing
and
that.
So now, now he was like, Grandma, please grow carrots and grow broccoli so that I can go right out and pull it out of the garden and eat it. Well, so it's so important because that really gets kids involved to it.
Well, I can associate that even with my own children. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mom, I'm making vegetable soup. Can I borrow some of your tomato juice?
Right.
I can, which takes me all day to do like probably 20 quarts. I mean, it's a long process. But the kids have grown up with this. And now that they're grown, they're busy. And I have walked them through that occasionally, but then I'm usually there to hands-on help them can that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that's so important. And there are some things that are more important to make sure that you eat organically than others, especially if you're not growing your own. If you're growing your own, everything you grow can be organic. You can have your green beans and your corn and your strawberries and your blueberries all organic. But there are things if you can't. Let's say you live in a condo or physically you're not able to raise have a garden or buy that. There's the thing, and actually you have it here. It's called the Dirty Dozen.
Absolutely.
And the Clean 15.
Yes.
And this is so fun because there are things grown commercially now that if it's not organic, it is over the top with chemicals. And number one is strawberries.
And this is a perfect time. Don't you have the strawberry plants?
I have the strawberry plants.
Yes.
And you can plant them in the ground. They're perennial. They're going to come back year after year. So year after year, you can have organic strawberries. And there's different varieties. There's varieties that are called Juneberry.
Yes.
And they bloom heavy in June. Mm-hmm. And that's if you want a heavy harvest at one time so that you can make jam, so that you can make a pie. But there's ever-bearing strawberries. And those strawberries are going to bear a few berries all the time throughout the season. So you can start harvesting in late May, early June.
They'll start blooming.
And then you can harvest a little strawberry once or twice a week, all the way through October. Mm-hmm. And if you have a protected area, Devin, who works at the greenhouse, he planted his strawberries in a protected area, and he had strawberries into November. He was bringing a strawberry to work on a Saturday and like, look what I still have. I'm like, shut up, I don't have any still,
So how is a protected area? What do you mean by that?
So in the fall, we start getting our northwest winds. So if you plant on the southeast side of your house, it's protected from those northwest winds.
Okay.
And as it's starting to get cold, it doesn't get as cold because your house protects it.
Okay.
So in those kind of conditions. Or some people do row covering in the fall. And then that will extend their season, not of just strawberries, but they'll do row covering and be harvesting broccoli and kale and cabbage into November.
Right, because I
planted leeks. I do leeks all winter long in a high tunnel.
Yeah, because I planted strawberries probably 5-6 years ago, but I've not been really good at maintaining it.
And that is one of the things. Your strawberries will get weedy.
Yes.
And and then they have the runners, so the runners run into the weeds, and then you have all of that additional work.
Right.
So there are things that will definitely help. Some people plant their strawberries in a weed mat material. The only thing is with that, it definitely helps with the weeds, but your runners don't keep producing for you unless you make another hole for that runner.
Okay.
So it can go down in. So there's pros and cons to weed mat with your strawberries. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. They can be a good bit of work. A lot of people like to do them in a strawberry jar or in a hanging basket. And then in the fall, because if they're in the hanging basket and you leave them outside, that hanging basket's going to freeze all the way through,
right.
and that's going to ruin your root system. So you take the hanging basket and you bring it into the garage. You let this plant still go dormant and just water it once a month, but then you can take it back out. What you're growing in a hanging basket is not enough to make jam.
Exactly.
But you're going to have some strawberries.
A snack here and there.
Right, a snack here and there, exactly,
Yeah.
if you do the everberry.
But mine came up last year, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on it and see what happens.
Yeah, because they're so much fun.
Yeah, they
But
are.
yeah, so some of the other things on the Dirty Dozen list, and these are things that you are probably going to want to grow your own if you pick and choose what you're growing in your garden.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I'm going to grow this and this. These are some of the things that you might want to do, because we always say, know your food, know your farmer, but no better way than if you're the farmer and you're farming
Right,
your own.
exactly.
Spinach is number 2. Kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, and potatoes. Those are on the Dirty Dozen list.
Right, and always they use a lot of chemicals on the celery if you're juicing celery, so it's got to be organic.
Organic, right.
And then I planted my own. I bought the celery.
I do too. I plant my own celery.
Right.
And I do my celery in a pot
Oh,
because it comes in and overwinters so well. It is amazing how well it does all winter long in a pot. And I bring it right into the greenhouse, so I do have good light. But I don't, like when you buy celery in the store, how light colored it is,
Yes.
almost white.
Yes.
It's because they cover it. So like if you like your celery like that, when you plant your celery, put a piece of black perforated pipe about 4 to 5 inches tall around it into the ground, and it will grow up through. What happens, it's not getting the photosynthesis, so the chlorophyll's not there.
Right.
And so the celery is light colored. But if you don't do that, your celery will be darker green and much healthier.
right, because I usually plant the
much
celery
healthier.
because I like to go out whenever I'm doing my tomato juices, I go out and pull up my celery
Pull up
as
your
well.
celery, right?
Yeah.
And I use my celery leaves in my salad too.
Oh, that's
I
a
chop
good
it all
idea.
up, and so
chop
I don't
it.
waste any of it.
Well, I'm the same way. When I make the tomato juice, the leaves go in, the whole
Right.
bit.
Everything goes in.
I mean, it looks like, because I simmer it for a couple hours.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the onions and
your garlic and-
garlic, absolutely, the whole bit. So
Right.
The house smells so good when
Oh,
I'm cooking it.
And put it in your jars and can it. It's
there we
crazy.
go. Yeah.
So those are, and just, you see from that list,
Right.
so much is fruit.
Yeah, 'cause I
So
know-
having your own fruit trees.
Yeah, the fruit
if
trees
you
is
can have your own
excellent,
fruit trees. Again, fruit trees is something that the deer love. So if you do decide to do fruit trees, you're definitely going to want some repellents.
They
But
would
fruit trees are not that difficult. And people say, well, I don't want them in my front yard because they'll be messy. If you're picking your fruit and using it, it's not messy. It's only messy if you let them fall on the ground and you don't use them. So, and do a semi-dwarf tree. They're going to do fine for you. You could definitely, I'm encouraging a lot of people to do edible landscapes right now. Blueberry bushes are beautiful. They have a beautiful fall color. Strawberries make a great ground cover. So these are all so many things that you can do, yourself.
And the thing is, I like your suggestion if you live in a condo or maybe a townhouse and you don't have a lot of space, you can do your container.
Right.
And this is great for people that are maybe retired and not really active, but this would be a good hobby for you.
Oh,
as
exactly,
well.
a great hobby. And, you can just fill your patio or your deck or your balcony.
Right.
The railing of a balcony makes a great trellis for your cucumbers. Works out wonderfully for them. Or your peas.
Yes.
Or a stake for your tomatoes. A balcony railing does wonderful for those kind of things.
Now, the peas like the cold weather. You could actually plant those now in the ground.
You could plant
correct?
your peas in the ground right now. The ground is really cold right now, so they're not going to germinate right away.
Right.
But when the show is airing in April, definitely you go right ahead and plant your peas outside right now.
Good. Yes, because I can remember my mother would always say, plant the peas during the cold weather.
Right. Yeah. And they do great. They like the cool temperatures. They're not going to be hurt with a frost, nothing like that. They're going to be really good. Some of the things that are on that Clean 15 list, avocados, which most of us in Central Ohio is not doing a lot of avocados anyhow, so we have to rely on somebody else to do that. Sweet corn, sweet corn is one that's getting on the iffy side because there are a lot of new hybrid GMO sweet corns.
Yeah, the GMO, most of your corn is GMO today.
Right. Field corn, that what was, making your corn chips and, flour and all of those kind of things are just about 98% GMO.
Absolutely.
Sweet corn, up until about 5 years ago, 90% of your sweet corn was not. Now there are new varieties every single year. So if you're growing sweet corn yourself, if you go somewhere and get your seed, you want to make sure that you ask, because if you just go in and say, I ran a really good sweet corn, they'll probably sell you one of the new GMO ones because they have been genetically altered so that they don't get some of the bugs.
Right.
Or you can spray Roundup around them and it's not going to hurt them. So I even had a guy want some sweet corn for a deer plot, and he came in and said, do you have sweet corn seed, GMO sweet corn seed, because I'm planting it for my deer plot and I want to be able to spray it and not have weeds. I'm like, yeah, you are at the wrong greenhouse, buddy. Sorry.
Exactly. Because you're going to feed the deer, you're probably going to go deer hunting, and then here you are.
And then you are, exactly. Yeah. And that was one of the things that people could say in the past, well, venison is so much cleaner than beef because they're eating, stuff out in the wild. Well, now all the corn, if the deer are eating it.
It's GMOs.
Yeah, GMO. So your deer, if you're doing a plot for your deer and you're feeding them GMO corn, it's really no healthier than the beef that ate the GMO corn. So stick with an organically fed beef or deer if you can.
And then if at all possible, go collect your apples that have fallen on the ground.
Exactly.
The deers love
They love apples.
Yes.
Apples is probably one of their favorite fruits.
Right.
But then we have pineapples, frozen sweet peas. A lot of times those are not. These are the ones on the Clean 15 list. The onions, papayas, eggplant, asparagus, kiwis, cabbage, cauliflower, cantaloupe, broccoli, mushrooms, and honeydew. Now I'm going to jump back to cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. Those ones are having so many problems with cabbage lopper caterpillar in the last couple years. I was at a seminar actually in Mount Hope in January, and there were some growers talking about the problems that farmers, large commercial farmers are having with the cabbage lopper caterpillar with those crops, as well as actually kale, which kale is already on the dirty dozen list.
Right.
But these ones are having so many problems that they're trying new chemical solutions to kill them. So they're not a GMO crop, of course, but they're getting sprayed with some new. Now, there has been a couple new organic ones introduced in the last couple years, and we actually buy it bulk and sell it by the half pound because it's very lightweight. It's a powder, and you'll make it into a slurry and then put it into your sprayer, and you can spray it. And it is actually OMRI listed.
So it is that that particular insect. It looks like a little caterpillar, and I've seen it on my cabbage plants. Yes.
And if you notice you have white moths flying around your garden, know that you have cabbage lopper caterpillar, because that's the moth of the cabbage lopper caterpillar.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
So if you have that you see that little white moth flying around, start examining your leaves. Start turning your cabbage leaves over. Look on the bottom side. You'll usually find that caterpillar under there. And I know people. I have a friend that's been an organic farmer for years, and they sell at farmers markets. And literally, they dedicate an hour a day to cabbage lopper caterpillar control on kale, cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. Nice. And they just go out for an hour every day and turn leaves over and keep
checking.
Yep, keep checking them.
All right,
so,
well, we're down to a minute left. So thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you so much for having me. There's always so much to talk about.
If you have any questions, go to Organic Greenhouse. That's where I always head to.
Yes, we're at 5828 Columbus Road in Louisville, Ohio. And we would love to have you, and we'd love to help you. So give us a call, 330-455-5997. Visit us on our website, Petitti's Organic, or on Facebook at Anthony Petitti Organic Greenhouse. Message me your questions. We want to help you be successful at gardening. Enjoy. Spring is here. So let's get busy and start planting. Be well. Enjoy the sunshine and the warmer weather. Yes. God bless. Thank you. Thanks.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.